Hello and welcome to Tales of Kind Souls, where we bring you heartwarming stories about kindness, resilience, and the strength of the human spirit. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and join our family, where every story reminds us that compassion still exists in this world. Today's story is about a single mother who faced rejection, but what happened just moments later changed everything in her life forever. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into this touching story. It was a chilly morning in late autumn. The air was crisp, and the golden leaves rustled softly on the sidewalks. At the heart of the bustling city, a small grocery store stood at the corner of Maple Street. This was not a fancy supermarket but a modest family-owned store where locals came for their daily essentials. Inside the store, shelves were stacked with fresh produce, bread, and canned goods. It wasn't just a place to shop. It was a place where neighbors exchanged greetings, children grabbed candy, and elderly folks chatted with the staff who had known them for years. Behind the counter was Mr. Reynolds, the store manager. He was in his late 50s, tall, with silver hair and glasses that slid down his nose every time he looked at the books. He was known for being strict about rules, punctuality, and order in his store. Some people admired his discipline, but others thought he was too rigid and lacked empathy. On that very morning, a young woman named Emily walked into the store. Emily was a single mother in her late 20s, with tired eyes that showed both her exhaustion and determination. Her brown hair was neatly tied back, though a few strands escaped, and her coat had seen better days. She clutched her small leather handbag tightly while holding the hand of her little boy, Jacob. Jacob was about 6 years old, bright-eyed, and full of energy despite the circumstances. His shoes were slightly worn, and his backpack had a patch stitched on the side, but his smile never faded. Emily had been struggling for months. After separating from her husband, she had to raise Jacob on her own. Bills piled up quickly, and she worked odd jobs whenever she could find them. But jobs were hard to come by, especially for someone who had to juggle work with caring for a young child. That morning, she wasn't in the store to shop. She was there because she had seen a sign in the window. Help wanted, part-time staff needed. Taking a deep breath, Emily approached the counter. "Good morning, sir," she said softly, her voice polite but nervous. "I noticed the sign outside. I was wondering if the position is still open." Mr. Reynolds glanced at her, then at Jacob, who was clutching his mother's hand and looking curiously around the store. "Yes, we are hiring," he replied in a firm voice. "But I must warn you. The job requires long hours, including evenings and weekends." "Do you have the availability for that?" Emily hesitated. "I can work evenings on some days, but weekends might be harder. I'm raising my son alone, and..." Before she could finish, Mr. Reynolds cut her off. "I'm sorry, but we need someone who is fully available. This is a busy store, and I can't have someone who's not dependable. Customers come first here." Emily's face fell. She had hoped for some understanding, but his words stung. She tried once more. "I promise I'll work hard. I can be here on most days. Please, I really need this job. I'll do whatever I can to make it work." But Mr. Reynolds shook his head firmly. "I can't take the risk. I've run this store long enough to know that flexibility matters. If you can't commit fully, I suggest you look elsewhere." His words were final. He didn't shout, but the dismissal was cold and sharp. Emily nodded quietly, holding back tears. She didn't want Jacob to see her cry. She whispered, "Thank you for your time," and gently pulled Jacob's hand to leave. Jacob, sensing his mother's sadness, looked up at her. "It's okay, Mommy. Maybe another place will say yes." Those simple words from her little boy pierced her heart, but she forced a smile and kissed the top of his head. "You're right, sweetheart. We'll keep trying." As they stepped out of the store into the cold air, Emily couldn't help but feel defeated. She had been turned away again. But then, something happened. Inside the store, a woman who had been browsing the aisles had overheard the entire conversation. Her name was Mrs. Carter, a kind-hearted elderly woman in her 70s who lived nearby. She was a regular customer and well-known in the neighborhood for her generosity. Mrs. Carter had watched Emily's face as she pleaded for a chance, and she had noticed the determination in her eyes, as well as the little boy's innocence. She couldn't ignore what she had seen. She walked up to Mr. Reynolds at the counter. "Reynolds," she said firmly, "I've known you for years. You're a good manager, but sometimes you let rules blind you. Did you see that young woman? She's trying her best. You could have given her a chance. Mr. Reynolds sighed. I can't run a business on sympathy, Mrs. Carter. I need workers who can commit. It's nothing personal. But Mrs. Carter wasn't convinced. She leaned closer. Sometimes, kindness is worth more than profit. That woman is strong. She's raising her child alone. Do you know how hard that is? What she needs is someone to believe in her. Have you forgotten what it feels like to struggle? Her words hit a nerve. Mr. Reynolds was silent for a moment. Memories he hadn't thought about in years flashed through his mind. He remembered his younger days, when he too had faced rejection after losing his first job. He remembered how one person's kindness had given him a second chance. Meanwhile, outside, Emily and Jacob were about to walk away when they heard someone calling after them. Wait, young lady. They turned to see Mrs. Carter coming out of the store, waving her hand. She hurried over to Emily, her eyes kind and gentle. My dear, I couldn't help but overhear what happened. Don't give up. You are stronger than you think, and your boy is lucky to have you. Emily smiled weakly. Thank you, ma'am. I just need someone to give me a chance. At that moment, Mr. Reynolds appeared at the door. His expression had softened. He walked toward Emily, cleared his throat, and said, I may have been too quick to judge. If you're willing, I'd like you to come back tomorrow. We can try a trial shift and see how it goes. Emily's eyes widened. She almost couldn't believe it. Are you serious? She asked, her voice trembling. Yes, Mr. Reynolds nodded. Everyone deserves a chance. I'll find a way to make the schedule work. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes, but this time they were tears of relief. Thank you. Thank you so much. Jacob hugged his mother tightly, beaming with joy. See, Mommy, I told you someone would say yes. Mrs. Carter smiled warmly at the scene. Sometimes all it takes is a little faith, she said softly. The next day, Emily began her trial shift. She worked harder than anyone had expected. She was quick to learn, polite to customers, and even managed to juggle her responsibilities as a mother by arranging help from a neighbor when needed. Mr. Reynolds watched quietly from behind the counter, and for the first time, he realized that he had underestimated her. She wasn't just dependable, she was dedicated. Her determination was fueled by love for her child, and that made her stronger than most people he had hired before. Days turned into weeks. Emily became a valued part of the team. Customers liked her warmth and friendliness, and even the busiest shifts seemed lighter when she was around. But the most remarkable change was in Mr. Reynolds himself. He began to soften, not just toward Emily, but toward others as well. He started seeing people for more than just their availability or qualifications. He began to remember that behind every face was a story. One evening, as Emily was about to finish her shift, Mr. Reynolds called her aside. I want you to know, he said slowly, I was wrong about you. You've proven yourself more than capable, and I'm grateful you gave this store a chance despite my attitude that day. From now on, consider yourself a permanent member of the team. Emily's eyes sparkled with gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. This means everything to me and my son. And from that day forward, Emily's life began to change. The steady income allowed her to pay her bills on time. She was able to buy new shoes for Jacob and even start saving for his future. The weight on her shoulders grew lighter with every passing day. As for Jacob, he never forgot the moment when someone finally said yes to his mother. He would often tell her, Mommy, you're the strongest person I know. And deep down, Emily knew that he was right. Friends, this story reminds us of something powerful. Sometimes, people just need one chance. One opportunity can change a person's entire life. And as we saw, it doesn't only change the life of the person receiving kindness, it can also change the heart of the one giving it. The manager learned that compassion and understanding can go hand in hand with responsibility. The elderly woman showed us that speaking up for someone can make all the difference. And Emily proved that strength and perseverance, even in the hardest times, can open doors when you least expect it. If you take anything from today's story, let it be this: never underestimate the impact of kindness. A single moment of compassion can create ripples that transform lives. Thank you for watching Tales of Kind Souls. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who might need encouragement today. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more stories of hope, kindness, and the resilience of the human spirit. Until next time, remember, kindness costs nothing, but its value is priceless.